Hey guys, and welcome to Discover UMES. I'm Janae Valentine, and today we have a very special guest, Ernie Satchell. So Mr. Satchell, tell me a little bit about how your interest in ceramics and pottery came about.
Well, it came about when I was a sophomore at then Maryland State College. We had a professor from the University of Pennsylvania, Dr. Kenneth Beidel, was working with us. He was on sabbatical. He worked an entire semester. His specialty was ceramics, and he had written books and he'd studied in China, and I became interested in it, and I followed him around like a shadow, and I learned a lot from him.
So can you tell us a little bit about the history of J.T. Williams?
Yes. J.T. Williams came to Maryland State College in 1947. I met him for the first time in 1959 when I was a freshman student. He was really a person that you could believe in. His word was his bond. He was very dedicated, and he went out of his way to support the arts.
So it seems as though you really knew him and had a connection with him. So what inspired you to want to sculpt him recently?
He was a good role model. He did a lot for his students and for his faculty. He was the real savior of the university, the first savior of the university, because we were on the threshold of being shut down. And he brought in all kinds of good people that kept the university going. I conceived this idea of developing what are called a presidential mall. And this would feature two pivotal presidents, William P. Heitz and J.T. Williams. And they would be full-length figures, and the others would be busts. J.T., I knew him personally, as I did Bill Heitz. And I always thought that he was the first great role model that I knew personally.
So tell us a little bit about the process of sculpting.
Well, the process of sculpting, the first thing I had to do is I had to get a position of where I wanted, how did I want to position the president. So I put one hand in his pocket and one hand outside. So that was who he was. I had one of the professors to take pictures of me, front, side, and rear. I projected those images, and I took measurements from those images, and I created an armature. And an armature is a structure for a sculpture, like framing is a sculpture for a building. And from that, I started modeling with clay. And so you start at the bottom. You start building the piece without the shoes. You start building the legs. You start building the width of the legs, the depth of the legs, and so forth, and you move up because you have to have something to attach to. And then you start building the torso. And the torso was filled in again with styrofoam and so forth. And it was built up to the shoulders. And after that was built, then we'll start building the arms. And the arms were just cylindrical shapes. And then you come back and refine those. You add and subtract and to get the form. Then you go back and refine it by putting in wrinkles, folds, wrinkles, and all of those kinds of things, and creases. And the head was done separately. It's easier to work on the head on a table than it is to stand on a step ladder and work on the head. And so we work it separately and then attach the head. After the piece was modeled, it was transported to a foundry. And they had to make a mold of the piece. And from the mold, they made a casting in wax. The wax figure was cut into 6 different sections. Sections were cast in bronze. They were then welded together, and then it's sealed with wax. That's how you maintain the finish.
So it seems like sculpting is a very particular and detailing type of work. How long would you say it took you to finish the actual finished product?
I worked on it off and on. I didn't push myself. It was the first full figure that I had done. So about 5 months I worked on it.
too, and thank you again for coming out and talking about the J.T. Williams sculpture that will be unveiled Founders Week in September 2014.
You're quite welcome. I'm glad to do it, and it's been a pleasure talking with you.
Thank you.
All right.